Tony D and Little Joan somewhere in the background, and this is a it was supposed to be a screenwriter's tip, but unfortunately, I can't find the question somebody had, and I can't remember it. Damn it, I can't for the life of me remember your question. So if you were one of the people who put up the question, I wrote that I would do it, and now I can't find the comment. I could have sworn it was in YouTube, but whatever. But I will answer another comment, a couple other comments I got. Number one, somebody yelled at me for talking about the look of soldiers, female soldiers in that one movie. I don't even know if this person's a real person or a bot. It kind of feels like a bot, but I'm allowed to say whatever I want for the most part on YouTube. If you got a problem with it, I guess chalk it up to call YouTube, I guess. But yeah, and when you're talking about female soldiers in a movie, it's different than talking about female soldiers. Now, personally, I think they should cut their hair because they're soldiers, and that's, the hair is not important to their soldiering. So yeah, I think they should cut their hair. That's number one. Number two, what I was saying in the trailer analysis was making them cut their hair makes them more look like soldiers. If you look like G.I. Jane, I'm like, oh, Demi Moore. Demi Moore was committed to looking the part. Demi Moore looked like she was in the army. Now, and it was a smart move on her part because she's too hot, right? And by shaving her head, she didn't look as hot and she looked more like a soldier. I still didn't really buy it, but, she tried. That's why I think some of the women should have had shorter hair. And you could say, oh, well, they're allowed to do it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I don't personally, I don't think that's a good look for the military at all. You're going to join the military. Part of the deal is the military's in charge, not you. You don't get to say, hey, I want to put my hair down or whatever. But anyway, the other question that was bouncing around in my comments, and happens every year. What is a Christmas movie? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Is Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie? I think there's two kinds of Christmas movies, maybe three. The first kind is the obvious Christmas movie, and that either has Santa in it, the North Pole, or the Grinch, or something like that. Those are very, very obvious Christmas movies. The next kind of movie is a Christmas movie that's in Christmas. So in other words, it's thematically about Christmas, right? So it's about family, giving presents, reconnecting with loved ones, that kind of thing. It's a Christmassy story. Maybe it's religious or partly religious. Maybe it's romance, rom-com. It's got magic, maybe a little bit of magic in it. But it takes place on Christmas. And it's about Christmas. It's about how you feel about Christmas and the holidays and all that good stuff. And then the third category is the furthest away. These are Christmas adjacent movies. These movies maybe have some element of Christmas, but they're not really about Christmas. Die Hard isn't about Christmas. It takes place on Christmas, but it's not about Christmas. There's a Christmas party in it, but it's not about that. It's about a hostage situation in a skyscraper and a guy, beating the terrorist. That's what Die Hard's about. It's not about Christmas. Santa didn't kill a terrorist. So, same thing with Lethal Weapon. Like, Lethal Weapon is extremely Christmas adjacent because it has a final scene, I believe it's in the first movie, where Riggs goes to Murtaugh's house at the end of the movie and spends Christmas with him. Yeah, I think that's in the first movie. That's sort of like a Christmassy theme. But other than that, it doesn't really, it's not really about Christmas. It's about, corruption and cop stuff. It's an action movie. So, you can have Christmas movies and Christmas adjacent movies, basically. And if it's adjacent, that's fine. But, it's not about Christmas, if it's not about Christmas, it's kind of a Christmas adjacent movie. So I don't know why people talk about this. It just seems silly. Um, but that's my, and it's perfectly fine to do a holiday adjacent movie. I just did a video on holiday movies. A holiday adjacent movie is perfectly fine too, because you can exploit the holiday for the trailer for anybody who likes that particular holiday. Christmas and Halloween being the major two. Maybe Independence Day, maybe Valentine's Day, possibly New Year's, and then, um, maybe St. Patty's Day, Thanksgiving, stuff like that. The further you go down the list, the more ridiculous it gets, until finally you have holidays that, like Labor Day. Like Labor Day doesn't have much of a theme these days, other than people have the day off and they go to barbecues. So that's about it. Um, Regardless of what the holiday means in that particular instant, it's more about what it means to the people of the current day. Like the whole working man thing doesn't mean much to people. They're just happy for a day off. And it's the end of the summer and it's your last day. Same thing with Memorial Day. It's just kind of about the beginning of the summer. People have sort of changed it. And, they're so anxious for a day off, especially during that time of year when the weather starts to get nice, that, yeah, it's almost like, who cares what the day's about? We want to have a day off because the weather's finally broke and we can finally go outside and have some fun, at least around here. I mean, your mileage may vary in a different state where it's warmer all year. But, yeah, in terms of the whole Christmas movie question, it's just a dumb question. In terms of screenwriting, I mean, it hardly makes a difference. The important thing is that your screenplay be good, and that if you use a holiday in it, you at least have something thematic from the holiday, if that's the theme of the movie. Otherwise, you're really just using it for extra color. It's about as relevant. Holiday Christmas is about as relevant as Die Hard is as setting the movie in, say, Miami Beach. If you had moved it to Miami Beach, or Miami Beach and, say, Scarface, right? Because it's in Miami Beach, it has a certain look. There's certain things in it that Miami Beach is famous for. It's kind of the same. You're just using the trappings. Like, you could have moved Scarface you could have moved it to Texas. You could have moved it to, I know he's Cuban, but you could have moved it to Southern California and you could have made him a Mexican. You could have moved it to Texas and made him a Mexican. Any place that was hot, that movie was going to work. It was in Miami in the 80s because, he's Cuban, and or he was supposed to be Cuban, and that was part of the shtick. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. If you had a question for me, I don't know why I can't find it, but post it again, and I'll get to it on another day. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.